Hello and good day to you, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Finals Day here in the EUS Challenger Series number 7. I'm Etis joined by Spuddington for this evening, and it is going to be Heimerdingers Colossi facing off against Mousesports. The problems with the connectivity and internet have been resolved here, as you can see on your screen, and we're into the picks and bans. Spud, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty well. I've got my coffee, I've gotten a bit of hype in my system, so yeah, should be looking forward to this. Haven't seen Mouse in the finals before. I don't know if we've seen them in the previous Challenger Series at all, actually. Did we? I think we may have done it in the 6th.
Yes, we did. We've seen Mouse before. They were pretty strong, but I think they had a fairly early exit. This time around, beating Dong Squad 2-0, the game that yourself and Jester casted last night, was quite impressive. You know, they've came a long way. They're definitely improving thick and fast, and they're a very, very strong team. The question is, though, can they dethrone Heimerdingers Colossi? Because they're on their 4th potential tournament victory here. They've won the last 3. They're on for their 4th.
They are unbelievably solid as a team. I mean, we've seen them now. We did see them drop one game to Giants. I think it was in the first round this tournament. Although if that had not happened, they would now be going on for like their 25th or something win in a row. As it is, they still haven't lost a best of 3 in several tournaments, or a best of 5. So they haven't actually lost a match per se. But yeah, really, really good team, and we've just seen them go from strength to strength. Going to be difficult to see if anyone can stand up to that. I mean, they are rolling kind of on a head of steam as well because they've had such a long win streak. But I assume we've gotten into Champion Select at this point. I am casting from the stream for Champion Select only. Metas will be in the game, and they have got some bans coming out. I have got that Karthus, Elise, Zac, Thresh, and Jarvan, but the last ban hasn't come out on my screen. So, what is it?
It is Jace. So again, fairly obvious ban coming out because Extinct is so strong in it, as we find ourselves saying over and over again, because Heimerdingers Colossi, as you said, it's a very good point. Since joining the EUS Challenger Series back in, I believe it was 3 or 4, they have yet to lose a single best of 3 or 5. They've won everything. So the first game that they've dropped in a long time was in the first round against Giants. Giants look very strong, but after that they have again just cleaned everybody up fairly comfortably. First 2 picks coming in will be Yamato Cannon on Shen and Kikis alongside Serescu, with taking Twisted Fate and Nunu respectively. So taking Nunu away from Maluno, who is incredibly strong in that champion.
Yeah, and also getting that key Twisted Fate pick. That's probably going to be a good setup for them there. Twisted Fate is just currently, still, in spite of the nerfs, probably the strongest mid in the game. If you're just going to want to first pick someone, that global presence is crazy. And the key fact here is that they've both kept it out of the hands of Extinct, although, worth noting, Fizz is not banned out and Extinct could pick that. They have got that Twisted Fate as an option right now, so if you have Twisted Fate, you have that teleporting presence that can very much stand up to Shen. And if you let your opponents get Shen and Twisted Fate, that can be a real disaster. So I do have to say, they might have been a little bit outpicked here, Mouse, because they're so keen on keeping Nunu and Twisted Fate out of the hands of Heimerdingers Colossi. They may have opened themselves up to that counter in mid. We will be seeing soon, I'm sure.
It's very, very likely, Spud, because the only times we've seen Extinct taking Fizz is to counteract Twisted Fate. That is exactly what he wants to do. And without him being banned, Thresh, Jarvan and Jace are all targeted bans to Mithy on Thresh, Yamato Cannon and also Maluno can play a very strong Jarvan, also Extinct can as well, and then of course Jace on Extinct is very scary, but leaving Fizz and picking Twisted Fate, I'm not a betting man, but I'm fairly confident that Fizz is going to get locked in here for mid. In the meantime, though, on Mouse, Zyra and also Caitlyn are being hovered over. Caitlyn would make a lot of sense as an AD carry, with Nunu said this time and time again. The Blood Boil on her is just ridiculously strong, allows her to build full damage pretty much instantaneously, and that's probably going to be Zyra support unless something weird goes on, but I'm assuming the Zyra is going to be support. Over time, against Colossi again. They are going to be locking in their last 2 picks here, but hovering over Quinn, I would be fairly surprised to see that get locked in though.
Yeah, I don't think Quinn would be a really smart pick. You could We did see it from Eternity trying to counteract the Jace mid from Extinct, and it didn't really work out for them. If they did run it mid against Twisted Fate, honestly, the way it would tend to work, I would think, is that she would go in for, you know, a vault, a blinding hit, but she'd just take a stun card, wild card combo to the face. And if they put a bottom against that Caitlyn, then what are you going to do? You just got no range, basically. I mean, Caitlyn having, what, 650 range on her auto attacks compared to 525 on Quinn. That's a huge disparity. That means every time you go in for a CS, you're going to get poked. Every time you try and go all in, she's going to back out and pilt over you to the face. It could be a confidence statement, though. I mean, if you are doing as well as Heimerdingers Colossi have been doing, it's something that you could run with. Could also be a placeholder pick, though. That is the other opportunity, the other option.
Yeah, they switched over. Fizz was locked in with 1 second to go, so it's almost like Extinct could hear us. He's like, I'm going to troll the cast, I'm going to troll the casters. Oh, no, I'm not. So yeah, it's going to be Fizz against Twisted Fate in mid, unless they go for some lane switch-ups, which would actually potentially be a smart idea. But LeBlanc coming in last, I am fairly positive that is going to be a placeholder pick, because you look at the rest of their composition, Shen could go in jungle, but also top. They're lacking a top or jungler in that sense. LeBlanc doesn't really fill in either of those gaps. So I would assume to see the remake coming in. On the flip side, though, AOD is going for Diana. That is an extremely heavy AP composition for Mouse.
Yeah, Diana top, we have seen it a few times. Does actually work quite well against that Shen, because she can actually get to a point where she can start to bully out Shen if she goes for that split push, and it makes it harder for him to create those timing opportunities with the split push himself. Being said, a little bit vulnerable to ganking early, does have a slow start on her damage. She's hard to kill in lane, but will be interesting to see. And yeah, I would expect to see the teleport being run on Diana, because what you tend to do with that Diana top against Shen, you just butt heads for a very long time. Try and avoid getting split pushed by the Shen ult, and just use teleport when that is available. Obviously, though, you have to work around the extremely long cooldown on the summoner teleport, as compared to that Shen ultimate. Can get difficult, especially the later on into the game that it gets. That being said, though, we will be seeing this remake, and I have not yet received any notification as to what the placeholder pick is, but if I had to place a guess, it was probably the jungler. But what are the options? What does Malunu really like to play, Messers?
He loves to play Nunu, Jarvan, which are both unavailable to him. We've also seen him playing junglers with a lot of ganking potential like Nautilus, so that could potentially be on the cards. I'm quite interested to see, because they've definitely counteracted a lot of Maluno's go-to champions, but he's a great jungler. Like, make no mistake, he is an extremely strong jungle. It looks to be the case as well, as you're saying before, probably going to be the jungle that was the placeholder pick. Yamato Cannon locking in Shen instantly. It's came over towards Maluno, and he's picking up Maokai, which does make a lot of sense. I know he likes these gank-centric junglers who want to be in your face, want to be constantly putting down aggression. After all, that's pretty much what Heimerdingers Colossi are. They're just an aggression machine. They never let up. And Maokai is a declaration of intent alongside Nautilus. If you go back to Season 2, they were two of the most popular pick champions because of this fact. They're support-esque, but also gank-based champions that want to get as many kills as early as possible. And that's what I'm pretty sure is going to happen. And you look at the lanes that he's going to be ganking into here. Level 6, Crescendo and Chain of Corruption on the bot lane is going to set up his ganks ridiculously strong. You got the Shen Taunt at top lane as well, and then Extinct, if he can land his Chum the Waters, could very well set up ganks there. So Maokai looks to be an extremely strong pickup.
Yeah, in fact, it may just be one of those cases where Heimerdingers do snowball all the lanes simultaneously. It's kind of the style Maokai is suited well to. That being said, they transition very well into that late game. They don't have a particularly teamfight orientated composition, but their ability to pick people off, take one guy down, play a split push game is second to none there. And though they will be up against the Twisted Fate and the Diana, who are very good at doing that too, could be interesting to see how this goes on. Anyway, should be into the delay timer now, so we will be going for a 3-minute or so break while we load up the game, and we will see you after this. Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the finals of the EUS Challenger Series number 7. We are getting underway very soon. In fact, we are already underway. I am Spuddington, I am joined by Metas, and we are seeing a jungle invade here.
We are. Mouse very aggressive. They've already walked over a ward though. Coming up to the second one, need to be careful, but popping down a ward of their own, and they are going to be pulling out of the jungle. Having said that though, Heimerdingers Colossi are coming up from the south side. So we could see something kicking off here, Spuddington, but no. Anticlimactic end, Mouse just pulled back.
Yeah, it does look like Heimerdingers Colossi have worked out where they've gone. Going to take that opportunity to shove down a ward in the enemy jungle. But that does mean that right now that because of the way they've set up those wards, mid lane is going to be very well protected, and so is the top. Lunu going to have very few angles from which he can gank early on. It's going to be a bit of a hamstring for that Maokai playstyle, and you see that AOD did take the extra wards in the setup, took only consumables, no fairy charm, no rejuvenation bead. And in fact, we might see one of Malunu's own patented techniques here. Cyrus Q is heading towards the enemy blue here.
Yeah, this is quite a strange one. They are coming in slowly. This is a delayed invade with 2 minutes on the timer. And Heimerdingers Colossi know exactly what's happening. They have this ward still down. Can Yamato Cannon make a 1v3 play? I'm not so sure he wants to try anything out here. And also, interestingly enough, have a quick look at the lane switch-ups coming about. Twisted Fate wants no part of this. He doesn't want to face off against Extinct Fizz. He's going to go to top lane against Shen. That's smart for my money.
And you can see why he's done that whole ward setup. Malunu is now very far on the bottom half of the map. He can't really clear the jungle very easily because there aren't any camps available to him. His options now basically are gank this mid lane or just go back to farming that jungle. But it's going to leave Twisted Fate with a decent amount of time to not get ganked, and that's going to be very important. The big weakness of running Twisted Fate in that top lane is just straight up his inability to escape. I mean, he only has that stun card, and Malunu on that Maokai will not care about that when he's in Twisted Advance. Does look like he could be coming into this mid lane here. I think he was spotted out though. That ward in the banana brush has seen it. Malunu has got flash though. Twisted Advance flashes are always a possibility. Just as a side note, we have also got Fizz and Mithy in that mid lane. Just keeping an eye on this Malunu here. The wave is pushing. They could go for this, but they are aware, and they have spotted him out.
Yes, we're having multiple lane switch-ups. The AD carry support combo of Fu Sharp and AOD in mid are going to be against Extinct and Mithy. So support and mid laner against AD and support. That's going to leave Caitlyn. Sorry, not Caitlyn. Actually, Kick is going very low. What kind of caught me off guard there. Freeze on Varus will be going up against Kikis. In the meantime, though, in mid lane, they have gone back in again. Get the first blood onto Zyra. So that is going to be Heimerdingers Colossi starting off well. But this lane switch up is fairly confusing, Spud. Like, just all over the map.
Yeah, and we are seeing Malunu possibly looking to take advantage of this. Kikis is low on health, and there could be an angry Maokai. I feel like Freeze may have just told him that, though, by being quite aggressive. May have just been, taken as being normal aggression, because he does have that range advantage in this lane. Malunu does not have his flash. He must have used it in that mid lane gank. He is still hanging around. Kikis is committing quite hard. Malunu did maybe show himself here, but I feel like Kikis could get that kill. He's actually going back under though, and is now under the tower with Malunu, but he's alive, and the sapling lands on his head and kills him rather depressingly.
Indeed, it landed pretty much on the top of his head. Couldn't have been placed any better. I was a bit kind of curious as if they'd be going in. Speaking of going in, they're going back onto AOD again. He's flashing up red. Will be getting taken out courtesy of Extinct. The retaliation is coming through thick and fast from Fu Sharp, but not landing the Piltover Peacemaker is going to mark the end. Taking a lot of poke damage as well in the meantime, courtesy of Mithy. So already 3 kills go down in favour of Heimerdingers Colossi, 2 of which have been on AOD in mid. And it's not looking like a great start for Mouse, but still very much early days. Quite surprised though that Diana Kikis didn't realise he was going to be going down, so just finished off the AD carrier Varus. But Varus does still have his barrier up, so even if Diana went back in, could have been for nothing at the end of the day.
I think Kikis was hoping that he could catch Malunu under the tower. And it's an interesting setup that Heimerdingers Colossi are running here. We've seen them do this before because it seems like a lot of teams thought against that Extinct Fizz is that, okay, we'll rotate the AD carry in that mid lane and take advantage of his inability to cope with that long range poke. But what they keep doing here is they just put him with Sona. That will hurt the Fizz in terms of scaling, because he is a caster, so his damage mostly scales from levels in his abilities and not from the actual items he gets. We are actually potentially seeing Kick is in trouble. I'll keep myself a little bit quiet here. Mulunu is here. He's going in. Twisted Advance goes down. We've got the hail of arrows surely any second now. We've got the piercing arrow on the head, and Kikis is very low. He is actually not going to survive, though. There we go. And yeah, like I mentioned, Extinct in this mid lane has been seen with Mythi several times now.
Yeah, that was quite an interesting one. I am keeping my eye on the map because all of these lanes have potential for all hell to break loose, especially in this mid, as we've already seen a couple times thus far in the game. But interesting enough, Diana came back to lane with a ward and didn't place it down. Speaking of all hell breaking loose, thought for a second that's what was going to happen. Extinct jumping in the face of Fu Sharp, but being forced back instantly. The plants are doing a significant amount of damage to Mythi as well. So much poke. Here comes Meluna from the side though, actually locking down AOD, pushing him backwards as well. Ignite's been popped out. Here comes a sapling, gonna finish off that kill. And AOD's woes continue, and Meluna goes on a killing spree. As we said in the champion select, picking Maokai is a declaration of intent. You are telling the enemy team, I am going to gank you from pretty much level 2 onwards. And there is nothing you can do about it unless you've got ward coverage, and even then, I'm a pretty strong ganker.
Yeah, he's been proving himself able to just pretty much go past the wards. He's managed ganks on the lanes that have been very, very thoroughly warded, and that's just the mark of a good jungler, just knowing how to do it. I mean, when I play jungler, I know it's warded, so I don't try, but Malunu and other good junglers just kind of know how to subvert that. They just somehow win their way in, and I don't know how they manage it, but I do see moves here in this top lane continuing to farm out, and this is unusual because Twisted Fate is now at level 7, and this is kind of at the point where he wants to be taking advantage of that ultimate, going for those roaming ganks. We've actually got the teleport. Cyrus-Q could be in trouble here. We've got Extinct in, we've got Malunu on top of him. Fish goes down. Cyrus-Q in trouble, does get destroyed, and that is another free kill.
Yeah, this is already looking really ominous for Mouse right now, because I understand fully the reason they've put their AD in support in mid. It's to shut down Extinct Fizz. 1v1 against Moop would have been very nice for him. He can just play full Trickster out the way of the wild cards, out the way of the pick a card as well. And by Twisted Fate going top, it's going to make him safe. But again, the burst damage from Extinct is just colossal. But my only concern with taking Twisted Fate top, and meanwhile actually a bot lane Kikis is going down. Maluno's on a rampage, 4-0. He's really camping the bot lane. I feel kind of sorry for Kikis. We're like, what the hell did I do to you guys? Why is there so much hate? But either way, the problem with having Twisted Fate the top lane is that, yes, his ultimate is a global, but it has range. You can't suddenly just transition from top to bottom lane with his destiny. You're going to have to run a lot in the process. It's one of the reasons he's such a strong mid laner, because as soon as his ulti's up, he can go top or bottom in a heartbeat. And by placing himself at top this spot, I feel he's kind of missing out on a lot of that global utility that he brings to the table.
Yeah, it does feel like you kind of picked it away from the enemy, but then been counterpicked and been like, what do I do now? Well, I guess I'll just, carry on as normal in top lane, but that is kind of the main reason to pick him. Later on, he will still have a lot of utility, but his damage isn't as special as other carries. And in fact, we do have Cyrus-Q in this bot lane. Freeze actually does manage to get out of the way of the Moonfall, though, so flash burned. But I'm a little bit surprised we haven't seen Cyrus-Q there earlier, honestly.
Yeah, I guess one of the main concerns is that with Diana being dead so many times, doesn't really offer a lot of power, and they picked the one moment where it seemed as though Maluna wasn't camping the bot lane, so it's maybe the time to strike. But as you mentioned, Flash was burnt in the process, so they may look to rinse and repeat that one in the next couple of minutes. But either way, 7-0 Spud after 10 minutes is fairly stacked against Mouse. They're also 2k gold behind without a Drake falling or a tower falling, so that shows how dominant they are right now.
Yeah, and it's probably not going to improve as time goes on. We do now have Extinct in the top lane with Moops. Wouldn't be surprised to see Moops actually rotate to this mid lane now. If they made a play with that Zyra, with that Nunu, and they went for a 4-man push with Moops teleporting in. Might be able to get that mid tower. It is starting to look a little bit low. Freeze is committed at bot, and Varus won't be able to roam very quickly, nor will Fizz. He's a little bit quicker than your average because of the Playful Trickster, but not so amazing. And Yamato Cannon, yeah, he's not got wave clear, nor does that Sona. I do feel that would be a good play if they were to make it, but we do have the Lunu heading towards this mid lane now. We've got Yamato Cannon going in with the taunt. We've got the stun going down. Stranglethorn's on top of it, but it's not going to be enough. And another kill there. Heimerdingers Colossi still looking good.
Yeah, Stan United is coming down onto bot lane as well. Obviously feeling that Freeze was in a precarious position, but they're not going to follow up on this one. You might kind of may go for the taunt. No, he's not going to bother. Just chasing off Kikis back to his tower. But this is one of the problems that, you know, Shen, with both the Stand United and the taunt on top of it, is just such a good way of getting globally around the map and making plays happen. And just going back, harkening on to what I was saying before, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but Twisted Fate, without Teleport himself, is not going to have the same kind of global impact that Shen does. Shen can go from top to bottom lane with his Stand United without any problems. Twisted Fate can't follow. Kikis is going in very aggressive though, forced to flash away as Serescu is coming in, but neither player is falling, although both flashing up red, so that was a bit of a danger moment. Luno's been caught in mid, but with his 4-0 scoreline, he is just oh so tanky.
Yeah, it's a raid boss level Lunu right now. He's just, I suppose at this point he hasn't committed much of that gold, but yeah, he's sitting on 900 gold in that back pocket. Has got the mobility boots, which is just going to make him able to make plays wherever he wants to. And we do have Mithy and Lunu now in this mid lane. We'll be trying to hold on to this tower. Should be able to do so. Maokai actually has surprisingly good wave clear. It's compared to a lot of junglers, he can just walk into a lane, farm it very quickly, and then walk right out again. Maokai, in general, just a very, very solid character. I'm a little bit surprised we don't see him more often than we do. But he doesn't transition quite as well against, as compared to, your standard junglers, compared to your Jarvan the Fourth, all those guys, and performs some very similar functions. That being said, against an AoE comp, he's incredibly strong because of that ultimate. He's going around behind Fusharp now.
Yeah, the Vengeful Maelstrom will negate some damage. It's going to reduce damage from non-turret sources by 20% at level 1. So it is very, very strong against AoE-centric combos. And one of the reasons he's picked up, he fell a bit out of favour in Season 3, as alongside a lot of other support junglers did. Because, yes, he does fairly decent damage early game, but his damage definitely does fall off late. He becomes very much a tank, and he's there for his Twisted Advance engages alongside the Vengeful Maelstrom. But the fact that he's so far ahead of Nunu right now, 1 level up, 1.5 levels up actually, is going to eliminate lots of Nunu's, annoyances. He's not going to be able to come in and steal those buffs as frequently or as easily with the smite cooldown. Top lane, Moops is actually going back. Bot lane, doesn't look like a great deal's happening.
Top lane actually Extinct had teleported in on the ward behind Moops, so he's now going aggressive and does pick up another kill. Very nicely played, because what happened before that was that Moops and Extinct kind of had an almost all-in situation. Both of them went quite low. Fizz went round behind to the double golems area, actually recalled from there, and then just teleported back in. When he saw Moops farming, and then went for that kill. So very nice pick up again, and we are seeing Heimerdingers Colossi forcing in that mid lane.
Yeah, I was kind of assuming that Twisted Fate was going to get away because I could see him recalling, but nice call there, Spud, and we'll be picking that kill up. 9-0 is the scoreline, with, interestingly enough, not too often we say Heimerdingers Colossi at 15 minutes through have yet to pick up a tower, but they have been picking up a lot of kills. Extinct is putting down some serious pressure at top lane. Meanwhile, at bot, the same could be said there as well. Kikis is a level behind Yamato Cannon, so he's not going to be able to burst through that tanky ninja. It's just looking like kind of a rinse and repeat from Heimerdingers Colossi. You could see what Mouse were trying to do early game, but it just didn't really work.
You've got to say a lot of that is just down to Malunu. He's really been making the plays happen. And now we're starting to see the classic Heimerdingers push. We're seeing Extinct in this top lane getting quite aggressive. He may actually go for the dive here. Stan United on top of him. He's just going to go straight under that tower. Not a care in the world. And that is the second tower taken in about 30 seconds. The bottom tower still standing for Mouse there, but it's not looking great. And yeah, Heimerdingers just still really, really solid.
They tried to shut Fizz down with this this lane switch up, AD carrying support in mid, and at 4-0-2 with 133 CS, it just simply didn't work. I mean, I don't think you need to go into in-depth analysis. It's just not quite worked out for them. Now, I am curious here, Spud, because Mouse, they're a very, very good team. They must have seen a lot of Heimerdingers Colossi. They must have known that Extinct could pull out the Fizz if needed. It just feels to me that they took Twisted Fate because he was open as their first pick, without really going into detail about, you know, what are they going to pick against us? Is Extinct going to run Fizz? And as a result, Fizz is now just really, really scary. And Twisted Fate is not really playing a massive part in the game. 0-2 with 123 CS, and he's now forced to farm on his secondary tower because it's very scary. Meanwhile, bot though, Malunu is coming in for another gank, lands it down, Taunt comes through as well, and the Vengeful Maelstrom. This is going to be a very dead Diana. There we go, with Shen picking it up. That's probably going to be a tower on top of it as well.
Yeah, I've got to say, the problem from their perspective was that they had to compete with Heimerdinger's champion pools. They had to compete with the fact that if they didn't pick Twisted Fate themselves first, then you would just see Heimerdingers Colossi, and their mid lane, their Moops, couldn't run Fizz. You have very few players out there that are able to run Fizz successfully. Extinct is one of the few, and that has given them a lot of flexibility in this current meta where Twisted Fate is really, really strong, because it means that they have an option. They can let Twisted Fate through, and you either have to pick him and get countered, or you have to ban him, basically. That's you just don't have options available to you, and they already have to commit ban to, you know, the Draven from Freeze, the you know, all these other champions, picking out that Nunu you saw. It's a really, really hard thing to contend with in Champions Select, and it just gives Heimerdingers Colossi a pretty big advantage before the game's even won. Kick is in middle, has been rooted. He is actually then going to be receiving the Twisted Advance as well. Going to be taken down any second now, and that is a 12. We have got a kill. I'd just like to say we have just got a Extinct has died.
Yeah, it took a lot of abilities to pick it up though. Absolute Zero, Twisted Fate throwing everything in on top. But the shutdown will be going into the hands of Moops, and that's somewhat of a minor consolation, but they've lost 4 towers in quick succession, both at bottom, could soon be 5. They're putting a lot of pressure down, have been forced back though, so pressure alleviated for now, but still the global vision and presence is so much higher for Heimerdingers Colossi. Yes, they took out Fizz, but they're still a very tanky, scary Maokai. Varus is chugging along at 2-0 and 3, and Shen is even in the kill, so it's one of those kind of situations where, again, you take one threat down, there's plenty more to contend with.
Yeah, and now we've just got the kind of some attempt to stall. That's really the only thing Mouse can do right now. Their late game team is very much comparable. They, you know, if it does drag on, they do have a good chance in this game. But we have got that blue stolen away, and that goal difference is large. Heimerdingers Colossi are experts at forcing advantages when they already have them. Kikis is now meeting Yamato Cannon, but it does look like actually we do have Maokai hanging around. The Taunt's coming down. Flash comes out from Kikis, does keep him alive, and Extinct slays Moops in the top lane. So, yeah. Still not looking good, actually, there for Mouse.
Wow. I'm assuming you didn't see that kill, but if you had, you'd have been like, okay, well, this game is just looking like the final curtain is falling. Extinct pretty much two-shot Twisted Fate. Like, that was just ridiculous. Chum the Waters lands, dived through him with Playful Trickster afterwards, and that was pretty much all she wrote. Now pushing top, and meanwhile, they are going for this split pushing technique with Shen and Maokai at bot, and Varus and Mithy in mid. They are pressuring all 3 lanes simultaneously while Moops is dead. Very scary, and this looks like Serescue's going to be going down. He's just narrowly going to escape. Ace and Hole comes, will claim the kill onto Sona. In the meantime, Moops is going to be destinying on Freeze, but the Stand Unite has been utilized, and that is going to be a safe freeze, or is it? Actually, they're re-engaging, and he's going to get exploded, courtesy of Caitlyn. Now chasing after Yamato Cannon, flash, wildcards, from Moops. I think he may have overextended as his AD carry says, peace out, bro. There's a very scary fish chasing after you. Doesn't look like Moops is going to survive, although he does have a gold card out. So if he can manage somehow to dart around the map and play the Great Escape, maybe, just maybe, he's going to make it work out for him. But Extinct with Playful Trickster off cooldown every 6.5 seconds should be able to catch up with him. Is Twisted Fate going to actually be able to escape this onslaught, taking so many tower shots? The Chum the Waters is off cooldown if Fizz so chooses. Meanwhile, Diana falls, but I'm keeping a very sturdy eye on Moops, because if he survives this, it's going to be ridiculous. Chum the Waters has landed, and yeah, the laughs come down. That's going to be killed. Bit of an anticlimactic ending.
Yeah, a little bit sad there, but it was surprising that Extinct let him live for so long, honestly. I felt like he was not going as aggressive as he could have done. He didn't want to hit stun cards to the face, though, because that would just carry on walking away. So every time there was a brush, he had to kind of try and outthink his opponent. We've actually got Surrender Vote coming in. I can't say I'm surprised. Maus was just not coming into that game again, and we've got to now think of this second game in the best of 5 that will be coming up soon. They need to pick themselves up, and how can they do it? That's going to be the question.
And honestly, Spud, I don't know. It's a really difficult question for me to answer, because that was, again, it was like a masterclass in how to push forward an advantage and a lead. This time round it was slightly different from Heimerdingers Colossi. Typically what they like to do is push towers very, very quickly. That time they just got a plethora of kills and escalated afterwards with the towers, afterwards with the drakes. So I'm trying to sit here and think of how Mouse can really counteract that play. I have to feel that they kind of lost in Champion Select. The Twisted Fate against Fizz just didn't pay out. Lane switching, I could understand the idea, but putting Twisted Fate at top completely neutralizes and nullifies a lot of the strengths that he brings to the team composition. So maybe it's a case of either banning out Twisted Fate or just not picking him in the first place.
But again, if you ban out that Twisted Fate, then you're leaving yourself open to all sorts of other picks, because Heimerdingers Colossi just have such a good champion pool available to them. They can just, well, there's just so many champions that they're just kind of quote OP on, because they're just so good at them. Anyway, while we get the players into the next lobby for the next game, we will be just going to a very quick commercial break. We will see you with the second game in just a couple of minutes.